Do you wake up in the morning feeling doubtful, fearful? No matter what you do, you don't seem to be getting close to your goals? Do you sometimes don't even see the light at the end of the tunnel and just don't know what to do because you feel so paralyzed? Well, I just hosted a training for one of our communities. These are high achievers, business owners, people that are crushing it in life and still, deal with the same problems that you and I deal with. Right? The feeling of not being worthy, not being able to accomplish your goals, not being able to accomplish your dreams, feeling that like weird feeling in your stomach. And I gave them a 5-step exercise that can help them solve their problems. And I'm not actually supposed to be making this public, but I'm going to do it. So check it out. Hope you enjoy. Cheers. So what is one thing I struggle with on a weekly basis? Let me read the chat. All right. Let's see. So Manu says fear, doubt, fear, deciding the work which I have to do but can't do due to university, other personal works. Okay, Bhuvan, fear, self-expectations. Self-expectations, that's interesting. Okay. Self-expectations, cool. So I know one thing that I personally struggle with on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, I would say at least 3 to 5 times a day or 3 to 5 times a week, is fear and doubt, right? Fear and doubt. How many here experience fear and doubt regularly? Drop a 1 in the chat if you experience fear and doubt regularly, right? And what I have come to realize is that usually fear and doubt come from a thought that was created in our mind, right? You woke up in the morning and you felt like there was something going on. You got a rush of all kinds of things that you have to do. You got a rush of thoughts about all the things that you are yet to do. You got a rush of thoughts that all the things that maybe you haven't been able to do. You haven't been able to get done because, like for example, Shabam says, there's all these things that I want to do, but then there is school, there's university, there's all this work that I need to do, and I just am not able to accomplish it, right? And that alone can create a bunch of anxiety. That alone can create a bunch of stress, right? That alone can create a bunch of fear, even, because I'm not progressing towards my goals, right? And so what happens is a thought gets created in your mind. I'm a loser. I'm never going to be able to get close to my goals. I'm never going to be able to accomplish my goals. Man, look at this guy. He's my age, but it seems like he's, 10 years ahead of me, 50 years ahead of me. What is my mom going to think? What is my dad going to think? What if I go back to where I was? How many here maybe at some point in your life, lived a life maybe you don't want to go back to? Right? I know that was me, you were in a bad situation that sucked being there, reputation, ego. Like for me, failure is much difficult today than it was 10 years ago. Like when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, my online entrepreneurial journey, man, I was nobody. No one knew who the hell I was. Today I've got 2.2 million followers on Instagram alone. Like if I fail, I'm the guru, right? If I fail, it's like, dude, you're sitting here trying to teach me how to make money and mindset and blah, blah, blah. And then you can't even do that for yourself. Like, what are you talking about? Right? Why am I going to be, what am I going to listen to you? Manu says you're the biggest online coach. Exactly. So it's like, but see, the thing is, that creates a lot of stress. And that creates a lot of doubt and fear. Sometimes I have imposter syndrome. Like one of the biggest reasons, and I've said this to many of you guys, I avoided hosting in-person events. Man, for the longest time, our students were like, man, host in-person events, would like to meet you, would like to meet everybody else. And I always made excuses. But really deep down, it was because I would fear speaking in person. And although many of you guys watching like, what are you talking about, bro? You're on video freaking all the damn time. Sure, but not in person. And deep down, the reason why, it was because I would think, what if I don't have enough interesting things to talk about? Right? If I'm gonna host this event and I'm gonna have people flying everywhere, like Zoom, okay, you can click a link. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be on the toilet taking a dump, and you can be watching me and listening to me, right? But here I'm gonna host an event. They're gonna have to fly and expenses and hotels and all that. What if it's not valuable enough? What if I really don't have enough valuable things? What if all this is really just because there's a facade in front of me that's the camera? Really deep down, I'm not really that valuable, right? All these thoughts come to mind. And what those do is they create doubt and fear, right? And then before you know it, that thought creates an emotion in your body. You start feeling in your body. You shrug your shoulders. You start breathing very shallow. You start talking very low. And then before you know it, now you can feel it in your body, and then now it becomes your reality, right? And then now you're going about your day making decisions from that state. Can you imagine the kind of decisions that you're making from that state? Pretty shitty decisions. Pretty shitty decisions, right? Tony Robbins has a quote. He says, every decision made from a state of fear and doubt is the wrong decision. Every decision made from a state of fear and doubt is the wrong decision, right? And so that's why, like, for example, Tony Robbins is all about state, changing your state. You know, massive things to your body, right? He's always like, you know, slapping on his chest and doing whatever. It's like when you stand up, you know, put your shoulders back. Like literally, just try it sometimes at home. If you feel like shit, just stand up, just put your shoulders back. And then just go like this and then take like 3 deep breaths. Before you know it, your entire physiology changes, right? Your mood changes immediately. That's like a change like this that you can make literally within seconds. Your state changes. Before you know it, the decisions you're going to make are going to completely change, right? And that's why every time I want to make a massive decision, I always take a step back. I take some deep breaths. If I can, I try to listen to some meditation music, 2-3 minutes, and just settle myself and center myself and get myself out of my head into my body. Because if there's my therapist says, if you get into your head, you're dead, right? Because we get into an analytical head and we try to make decisions with our heads and it doesn't work. But if you drop into your body, that's when you can work. So today what I want to share with you guys is an exercise that I learned from Tony Robbins himself. And he taught this to a room, 400 entrepreneurs from all over the world. Every person has paid him between $85,000 to $175,000 to be in that room. I want you to think about that. 400 people. Every person has paid him between $85,000 to $175,000. If you're doing the math, it's between $30 to $50 million in that freaking room of how much people have paid him, right? So he does special retreats 3 times per year for these people. It's his inner circle. It's called Platinum Partnership, right? And I had the opportunity to be in that group for about a year. And one of the biggest lessons and the biggest things that I learned from him is this exercise that I'm going to share with you guys today. You guys ready? Drop 1 in the chat if you're ready to learn this exercise. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to grab a pen and paper, and I want you guys to write with me. And I want you guys to participate with me in the chat, okay? Because it'll only work if you guys can actually participate with me, okay? So this is called the certainty exercise. The certainty exercise, okay? This is where you create certainty within yourself that this is not the first time that I face obstacles, and that in the past I have faced obstacles and I have come out on the other side, okay? Because the thing is that, when you go to get hired for a position, for a job, what do people look for? What do managers look for? They ask you for your resume. Why? Because they want to see if you have experience in doing this thing, right? And if it's you and somebody else who want to apply for the same job, how many here believe that the person with the experience has a better chance at getting the job, right? Why? Because you show that you've done this before. Now, maybe you hadn't done it at the best level that they're expecting, but you are better than the other person, right? And so the same thing here with the certainty exercise. What we're going to do is Every time you face a problem, we're going to prove to your logical, crazy brain that's driving you crazy, placing fears and doubts inside of you and paralyzing you from taking the next step. We're going to show it how you have in your resume, you have experience in facing obstacles and facing tough times in the past, and you're still alive, man. You still made it. Right? And what I like to call these is reference points. So I want you, this is the first thing that I want you guys to write down. Reference points. Reference points. Okay? Because how many here agree that at some point in your life, you went through a situation where you thought, oh my God, I don't think there's a way out of this. But then fast forward 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, 3 years, 5 years, you were able to come out the other side, and you look back and you're like, huh, that kind of looked like it was life and death when I was going through it, but actually that wasn't bad. And in fact, I learned so much. If you agree, drop a 1 in the chat. Okay? I can tell you, man, over the last 10 years, I've gone through so many of those things. So many. I mean, I couldn't even count them, right? So too many to count, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a kind of like a backlog of all these things that you have done in the past that once you thought were near death experiences, but then you come out on the other side. So that way, whenever you get into the situation of, oh my God, fear, doubt, holy shit, what's happening here? You can go back to those things and then you can tell yourself and show yourself, hey dude, check this out. I once also thought that this wasn't going to happen, but then I made it happen. So don't trip, I got you. And when you do, what this does is it creates trust within yourself. And so this way, problems in the future don't shake you like they once did. Right? A business loss, a family loss, loss of a loved one, things not working, getting fired, whatever. It's like, yeah, okay, I've gone through this before. You know? Like, I still remember the very first time I received my first lawsuit in my life. I freaking fell on my knees crying. Oh my God, I have to go to court. Now, 9 businesses later, I realized that lawsuits are part of freaking business, man. Because a bunch of assholes out there see you doing good, and guess what? That immediately puts a target on your back, and they want to get a piece of that, right? People will sue for the randomest things, especially in the beautiful country of the United States of America, right? For no damn reason, you know? Now, if I get a lawsuit, it's like, okay, let me see, what is it about? Okay, hit up the attorney. Hey, man, what's going on? Do we even care about this? Should we respond? What is this about? You know? And I don't want to make it sound like I get sued every day. I actually haven't been sued in, 4 years or something like that, but I'm just saying. And it's like, all right, well, what's going on? Let's seeing crazy a lot of things. Exactly. It's like, hey, man, let's see what's going on. Do we respond? Do we not respond? What's our strategy? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, what do you think? What's the worst case scenario? Always, what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is this. This is the cause. This is how much it'll take. This is how much time investment from you. This is how much money it'll take. Okay, what's our best case scenario? This. Okay, cool. Well, let's figure something out. Cool. All right, well, I'll hit you up once a week. I'll figure out what's going on. Here's a strategy. Go take care of it. Let me know what needs to happen. And it's off my plate, right? But then that's because that's been 10, 12 years of this, 9 businesses later, half a dozen lawsuits and litigations later, that it's like, okay, we've gone through this before. So now if a lawsuit comes in, and in my brain it's like, oh my God, holy shit, life and death. It's like, no, wait. Before you get crazy, look, man, last dozen years, we've gone through this before, and although at some point in my life, exactly, this is not the end of the world, yes. Although at right now it feels like it's life and death, but remember, we felt like that at some point, but we've gone through this before. So this is reference points. This is what I like to call reference points, okay? So the very first, step number 1 in this exercise, what I want you guys to do, and take a couple of minutes to do that, is think about 3 scenarios. Think about 3 scenarios, 3 moments in your life where you felt like, something happened, you got bad news, you got fired, you had a business that went bankrupt, you got in debt, whatever happened, but you were able to make it on the other side, and you were able to live, and still, although while you were going through it, it felt like life and death, And this could be last month, last week, could be 10 years ago, could be 50 years ago, it doesn't matter, right? But you made it through, and then now you're on the other side. Okay? Think of 3 situations, 3 scenarios in your life where when they did happen, you thought it was impossible. No way, man, this is like the end of me. But then when you came out on the other side, you're like, huh, that wasn't that bad. I want you to write these down. And I would love for you guys to share in the chat as well. Obviously, if some of it is personal, that's completely okay. But would love for you guys to share. So Manu says, let me see. Okay, so if you're going through something right now, that doesn't count. The stuff that I want you guys to mention or to think about is stuff that you have come out on the other side. If you're going through this stuff right now, trust me, man, there's about 3-4 things that I'm going through right now that I'm experiencing this right now. But had I not done this exercise, those things would have consumed the shit out of me. I would not be able to come and do this presentation for you guys because I'd be stressed out in bed right now, probably losing 15 pounds a day, like sweating my ass off, stressed out about this. Because if I tell you about them, and some of them are a little personal, if I tell you about them, man, they are stressful. And they would have completely destroyed Bashar 10 years ago. But Bashar today, okay. I stressed about it for about a day, 2 days, maybe got down on myself, built a plan, moved on. Right? So if you're going through something right now, completely okay, this exercise will help you with that. But I want you guys to think of stuff that you have come out the other side. And trust me, I know there are many things that you once thought were the end of the world, and then you've already come out the other side. Okay? So just take a couple minutes, think about that, and share in the chat if you guys can. If you'd like to share a couple things, I'd love to what's it called? But I'll give you guys maybe 2 minutes to do that, and then we'll come back and get going. Okay, so Bhuvan says, not getting job last year in December when it was needed. Okay. Have you been able to get a job since then, Bhuvan? So remember, this is stuff that at some point you thought not possible. Okay, so not a 9 to 5. Okay, so this is a perfect example, right? So Bhuvan says the life and death situation for him was not getting a job last year in December when it was needed. He didn't get a job, but he got even better opportunities as a freelancer, right? So that's exactly what I mean. And that's the beautiful thing about this. Shabam, I wasn't able to pay for my father's condition 7 months ago. That's why I worked my ass off to build this page. And from there, the thing's gone right. Exactly. That's right. So I'm pretty sure, Shabam, as you were going through it, it felt like shit. And you're like, oh my God, I can't do this. But then it forced you to go into this other thing. And then boom. Now, it's like, well, this other better opportunity happened. And that is the beautiful thing about this. And that's why I want us to create those reference points. And that's usually what happens, right? Like an example for me, 10 years ago, I lost my restaurant. April 28th, 2015, you all know the story. Restaurant burnt down. I'm down to my knees, pretty much complaining to God, why the hell are you doing this to me? I've spent the last 2.5 years working my ass off, 120 hours a week. And I know you may think that that's not possible. Trust me, it is. When you work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's possible. With 1 or 2 shifts, 42 hours without sleep, right? And the restaurant burns down. And I'm like, why? God, why would you do this to me? Well, now when I sit here in front of you, I'm like, well, okay, I know exactly why God did that to me. Because I was on the wrong path. I just had to be removed from that path and placed somewhere else. But again, while it was happening, it seemed like the end of the world. I had no money in the bank. I had a ton of debt. I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, money that my family had invested. And it felt like I don't even know what to do with myself anymore. But then now when I look at it, I'm like, damn. So now if something like this ever happens in the future, I know that I've gone through it once and I've gotten out of it. And now I can do it even better because now I have that experience. I did it without experience. Imagine what I can do now with the experience that I have. Right? Because before, I had no experience in business. Now, I've got 10 years of experience in business. If everything that I'm building right now goes to shit, well, I've got the last 10 years of experience to build and get to where I am and even surpass where I am. That's total work in 120 hours, but also appreciate you overcome that. Yeah, of course. All right, Nydia, lost my wealth in 2019. Then it came a tough divorce that lasted 5 years. That drained me. I had to take therapy. I had to start over. For the first time in my life, I can say everything is working out and I'm on the right track, growing personally, professionally. Love it. That's incredible. Thank you very much for sharing, Nydia. That's not easy to share. Appreciate you sharing. Obviously, if you think about it, 2019, 5 years. I mean, we're talking about until about recently, right? I bet you, Nydia, when you were going through it, it felt like the end of the world. It's like, oh my God, what's happening to me? Like, I'm losing everything that I've worked for all my life, right? But then now you look back and you're probably like, okay, well, that actually had to happen for the new version of me, for the next version of me, for the 2.0 version of me. Because had I gone on that path, I would have probably never discovered the 2.0 version of me. But then now I kind of have permission to go discover the 2.0 version of me, right? Love it. Tommy says, mother got sick with cancer for a few years and eventually passed away at 59. My condolences. Sorry to hear. Especially those last weeks at the hospital. I basically slept at the hospital and hit the gym at 5 in the morning. I think the gym saved me at that time. Love it, man. Thank you very much for sharing. But again, see, now you've got that reference point that God forbid, well, I don't want to say God forbid because things like this do happen, right? It's just the circle of life. If someone gets sick in your family or a loved one or someone that you care about, it's like, okay, I've done that before and I know what needs to happen and how I can be there for them. And I'm pretty sure as you were going through it, it felt like, I don't want to lose her, But then at some point, it's like, just God needs to do what God needs to do, And it's like we just gotta let life do its thing, and we're just gonna kind of go through the motions and just be there, and soothe them and help them go to the next chapter of their lives or their journey, Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate you sharing, man. Manu says, fell into a difficult situation where I'm at the verge of losing my job, which is my only livelihood. Okay. Numerous situations with my father's health deteriorated where I have stressed out, but could get out of it. No clue what will happen if I stop paying my debts. And I'm stressing my ass, but could get legal help anyhow. Love it. Thanks for sharing, man. And again, all these things, and that's, there's the cliche saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? There's a quote that I read from the book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. If you guys haven't read it, highly recommend the book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And in there he says, you don't have a big problem issue, you have a small person issue. Let me say that one more time. You don't have a big problem issue, you have a small person issue. And what that means is, you've just not dealt with big enough problems, which is why the current problems seem so big for you. Right? I want you to think back right now, today, problems that you had 10 years ago, and how you acted. If they happened today, would you act the same? Or would they feel at least 10% lighter, 20% lighter, 50%, 70%, 90% lighter? I know for me, a lot of the problems that I dealt with a decade ago, today I'd be like, okay, it's a problem, but it's not going to stop the world from spinning. But a decade ago, I was like, oh my God. But that's because you've had all these problems. And that's why I always say, man, problems are not bad things. They're actually blessings in disguise. They're just building our armor. They're building our tolerance, right? To become more tolerant for bigger things. Not trying to get biblical on you guys or anything like that. I'm Christian. And one thing in the Bible it says that if you want to be given more, you have to be able to show God that you can handle bigger problems, right? So if you want God to bless you with more, you have to show God that you're able to handle bigger problems, right? You know what they say, I don't like the saying, but they say more money brings bigger problems, right? And that is true. That is very true. But it's like, if you want more money, you're going to have bigger problems, you know? And you need to be able to handle it. But that's the cool thing, is that when it does happen, all these things, build your tolerance, sharpen the blade, make you able to handle bigger problems, right? And problems will happen. Jason says, my family has over $30,000 in debt, and I finished college 2 months ago. Now building online social media, e-commerce business, and moving to Europe. Just started, need motivation. We'll keep building. Love it, man. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Okay, so that's step number one, right? So that was step number one. So step number one is thinking of situations that have happened in the past that while they were happening, they felt like it was the end of the world, right? But you were still able to overcome them, okay? So this way they become reference points. Remember, the very first thing I said, reference points. So now these situations that you just thought about, those are your reference points. So when in the future something crazy happens and you start freaking out, you bring up your reference points and say, hey, remember, at some point, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years, 10 years ago, I thought it was the end of the world, but I still came out on the other side. Like, for example, Bhuvan, right? Bhuvan was looking for a job for a 9-to-5, and he didn't find it, but what he found was even a better opportunity. So for him, next time something like that ever happens, he'll be like, hey, remember that one time when I wanted this one specific thing, but it never happened to me. But guess what? Something even better happened. So although right now I'm going through this thing that it feels like it's the end of the world, it's okay if it doesn't happen, because I know that something even better is probably about to happen. So let's go. Right? So that's the beautiful thing. And right now, here's the interesting thing. And you might think this is kind of weird. Every time a problem happened, I get excited. Every time something doesn't go my way, I get excited. Every time we launch something that breaks or doesn't work or whatever, I get excited. Why? Because deep down, I'm like, oh, what's about to happen on the other side? Because I know, again, reference points, because I've got reference points. Because when I look back, I'm like, man, every time I've really wanted something really bad and it didn't happen, I ended up discovering something 10 times better, 20 times better. So hell yeah. Right? So now all of a sudden your attitude goes from freaking out about bad things to getting excited about bad things. And how many here believe and can agree that your attitude of being excited are probably going to attract exciting things versus your attitude of being scared and afraid is probably going to attract more things that you're going to be scared about, right? Because you know what they say, you attract who you are, and you attract how you act and how you show up. The energy you put out in the universe is the energy that you bring back into your life. If you're always complaining, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get more shit to complain about. Right? If you're always bitching and moaning and blaming everyone about everything, guess what's going to happen? Life's going to give you more things to bitch and moan about and complain about and blame everybody else about. But if you're taking responsibility, if you're positive, if you're helping others, if you're grateful for the little things, life is going to give you even more and bigger things to be grateful for. Does that make sense? Okay. So that was the very first thing. Think about 3 things that you once thought were impossible. Now circle your favorite one. Circle your best one. Circle the one that makes the biggest impact. And maybe you only came up with one. It's okay. That's your first. That's the one, right? So like for me, whenever I look back, like my reference point when it comes to business loss is the restaurant, right? When it comes to I'll tell you guys actually a story. In 2022, that year, so our trajectory in BJK University, we launched in 2019. 2019 was our first year in business. 357,000. 2020, 1.2. 21, 9.5. 22, 16.5 million. Right? Just massive trajectory. 23, we were supposed to do, our goal was, we're going to go to 48 million, and we didn't. Instagram page got taken down. We had to chop off like 75% of the team size. I mean, we're just a disastrous year. And early 22, we brought in a COO. A COO. That pretty much kind of like runs the company while I focus on vision and that kind of stuff. She had been in the company for about a year, and then she became a COO in mid-2022. And then 23, the first year that we actually had some turbulence, about 6 months later, she decided to leave. Okay? And I still remember, I opened my computer in the morning, it was like 9 a.m. I opened my computer, and I opened, there's a Slack message from her in a frantic way, pretty much saying that, I don't trust you leading this company anymore, and I'm going to move on. That's kind of the gist of it. It was like a big bulk of messaging. And I still remember, and it was this exact chair. I've actually had the same chair. It was 2 apartments ago. I sunk in my chair like this, and I sat there for an entire hour. An entire hour. And my entire vision, my life, everything flashed in front of me. And I thought to myself, that's it, we're done. It's over. It's over, that's it. We're not going to be able to come back from this. After I felt miserable for an entire hour, I got up, I shook it off, took a shower, and then I reminded myself. I said, Bashar, she came on after you had generated about $25 million without her. Because of these guys, because of this, because of this. She came on after all that. So she didn't help you get here. That's number one. Number 2, remember 2 years ago when you lost this person and you thought it's done? Well, guess what? You still built a business after that. Remember 10 years ago when you lost this other person and you felt like it was done? Well, you were able to still do it. Can you see how in the past there are similar situations where you had a loss and you thought that was the end of you, but what was on the other side was something 10 times better? Can you see how that's happened in your past before? Yes. Okay. Well, this is going to be the same. And guess what happened? Over the following 6 months, we realized that she had increased our expenses by $175,000 per month. Per month! Extra hires, giving bonuses left and right, building a bunch of software. By the end of that year, we decreased our monthly expenses by $175,000 while maintaining top-line revenue. Think about that. Just her salary was $20,000 a month. The minute she was gone, that was an extra 20 grand in our pocket. And guess what? Today, I actually have a ChatGPT bot that I trained to be like her, even better, and it cost me $20 a month, not $20,000 a month. Right? But again, I'm not saying she's a bad person. I'm not talking shit about her. All I'm saying is sometimes we go through things that we feel like it's the end of the world, it's the end of us. But having these reference points are important. So that's why I want you to circle your reference point. The main one. The one that can show you that, hey man, we've gone through bullshit in the past, but we've been able to come out the other side. Drop a 1 in the chat if you each have that one. The one for you, whatever that reference point is. 10 years ago, like for example, Nydia, I lost everything, got a divorce, all that stuff, probably thought the end of the world, but here I am today, new opportunities, bigger opportunities, better opportunities, I'm on to crushing it in life. Buvan, in December, I wanted a job because I needed a job, but guess what? I didn't get a job, but I got something much better. Drop a 1 in the chat if each one of you guys can at least get one reference point they can look back at if and when in the future. Not if, but when. Not if. Because shit's going to happen in the future again. Where it's not going to go your way. Where it's going to feel like the end of the world is ending. And you pick that paper back up and you say, okay, yep, this is it right here. I once thought it was the end of the world, but I still came out of it the other side. Proof that I've done this before. Therefore, I can do it again. Okay? Now here's a question for you guys. At some point, you thought it was impossible for you when something happened. When my restaurant burnt down April 28, 2015, I thought it was the end of me. I had poured everything I can into that place. Everything. Everything I had, everything I can, just everything. For 2.5 years, working 120 hours. Killed so many relationships because of it. Poured all of my parents' and my family's savings. Burnt so many bridges. I had no friends, I had no relationships, I had no money, I had nothing. And when that thing went away, I thought, man, it's done. That's it. I'm over. I don't even know where to start again. I don't even know what to do. Like, how do you even come back from that? I didn't know how. Obviously, now looking back, it's like, oh yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But hindsight's 20/20, right? Same with you. At some point, you did not know how to come out of it, but you did. So the question for you is this. Look back and write down 2, 3 things that you did to come out of it. Right? And make them high level that can be used for the future. Example. For me, when I came out of the restaurant, number one thing, I allowed myself to be depressed, to be miserable, to be a victim, to just feel like shit. And I didn't try to pull myself out of it. At the time, I didn't have the will to do it. But today I know if I ever feel like that, I allow myself to sit in my misery. And I know this sounds weird. You know when they say, if you lose a loved one, it's important that you grieve. Don't try to bottle it, man. If you bottle it, it'll blow up in your face. Same thing here. I allow myself to grieve. I give myself time. Now, important, not to live there. Go grieve so that we can come out the other side. Right? So that's the very first thing. For me, it's like, be miserable. Live in your misery. But set a timeline. I'm going to live in my, depending on the size of the situation. Never hold the emotion exactly. I'm going to live in my, like for example, when Instagram, so in 23 and 24, man, we used to have, Instagram was going down every 3-4 months. It was annoying. And every time it did, it would mess with me. 100% of our revenue came through Instagram. And when it went down, it's like, that's it. And I'm like, okay, how do I make payroll? How do I do this? How do I do that? Right? So after 2 times of Instagram going down and me acting like there's nothing going on, and then like 6 hours later, feeling like shit, I realized, okay, Instagram keeps going down, and every time it does, I feel like shit 2 days later. So here's what I'm going to do. Every time Instagram goes down, I'm going to clear my calendar for the day, and I'm going to do nothing, and I'm going to allow myself 24 hours to feel like shit. And I'm going to tell Rueda. But my promise is, after 24 hours done, I'm back up. Right? So again, number one for me was live in misery. But timed it, right? So that was the first thing. The second thing is, figure out 3 potential solutions that can get me out of this situation. What are 3 potential solutions? Number 3, what is the goal? And really number 3 is number 2. So number 1, live in misery. Number 2, build a goal that has a timeline. So I want to get back up to by this date. Number 3, figure out 3 solutions that can get me there. Number 4, take action on all of them for X period. Number 5, decide on one. So those are my 5 action steps. Today, if I lose everything, that's what I will do. Number 1, live in misery. Timed misery. I'm going to live in misery for a week. If I lose everything, I'm going to need at least a week to be miserable, right? A day or 2 are not going to cut it, you know? I need at least a day. I mean a week, right? Okay, cool. Now, number 2, what's the goal? Okay, where are we going now? And when do we want to get there? Important timeline because it adds urgency. Number 3, what are 3 things that will help me get there? Number 4, take action on all of them. For how long? So I'm going to take action on all of them for whatever, 3 months to figure out which one I want to go into. Number 5, choose one and commit for at least 2 years, right? So now for you, think back of the situations that you went through and try to come up with 3 to 5 things that you did. Not what you will do, but you did. Because what you will do is different than what you did. Because what you did already works for you. Because you already did it, already got you out of there and moving on, right? So your things could be different than mine, and that's okay. So not what you will do, but what you did that got you here. Write those down. And I'd love for some shares as well.
Bashar, you said choose one and commit for at least 3 years, right? At the last.
That's what I did, yes. That's what I did. Again, yours can be different than mine and should be different than mine because you've already done something in the past, right? That got you here. So don't think of what you will do, but think of what you did. And once you guys are done, please do share in the chat. You guys got it? Those of you that got it and want to share, please drop in the chat. I want to read a couple, and then we'll go to the next step. We only got 2 more steps. Remember, this is stuff that you did that got you here out of that situation you were once in. And that's a situation that you once thought was impossible to get out of, but yet you're here. So obviously something worked. What is that thing? What are those things? 2, 3 things, right? And it's important to think about things that you did, not things that you will do. Because things that you did already worked, and we have proof of that. You're sitting here. Anyone wants to share? All right, so Petra says, the way I always came over stuff is I know everything is temporary, even the bad things. I too allowed myself some time pity and good cry. But after that, I just went back to it. Be resilient, keep going. Love it. That's awesome. I love that. Who else? Manuj, I took health insurance for my parents so that money should never be a problem when they're ill, and made sure I renew every year, and doing that for the past years. Every time some shit happens, I think would be the worst that can happen. It's not the end of the world, and be prepared for that thing. Love it. That's awesome. The next thing, what we're going to do is write down one thing that you want to accomplish or are going through, okay? One thing that you are going through right now or want to accomplish, but it feels kind of this far thing that you can't reach. Again, something that happened in the past that you once felt like it was not going to happen. You got it done. Same thing you're going through right now, probably. If I had to guess, there's at least one thing that you're going through right now that it feels like out of reach. You've been trying to get there. You've been trying to overcome it. It's a problem. It's a process. It's a goal. It's a desire, whatever it is. You're going through something right now that for whatever reason you can't seem to overcome. And you're just not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Or maybe you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but it keeps getting far. Okay? What is that thing? Just write it down. Drop it in the chat. Obviously feel comfortable sharing. Okay, Petra says, extra income over my 9 to 5. Okay, great. That's awesome. Okay? Petra, how much extra income? That's also important. As specific as possible. Who else? Shabam, right now struggling with my page growth. I have to get it back. The sales I want are not happening. I'm working on that at the end of the year. I want to hit 1,500 per month, 600,000 followers. Okay, love it. Petra says 1,000 to start with, scale it to 10,000. Okay, love it. That's awesome. So these are all things that you want to accomplish. Maybe don't seem like you're getting close to them. Struggling to get there. Getting a little bit of, you kind of get a little close, but then you know, it's like you take 1 step forward, 2 steps back. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, right? Every time you seem to want to get close, it just doesn't, happen. Build a consistent source of income, $5,000 a month, and clear my debt. Okay, cool. Love it. Okay. Now, the 5th and final step is what are 3 things that you're going to do to make this happen? What are 3 things that you're going to do to make this happen? Remember, at some point in life, there was a single thing that you struggled with, that you felt like you're not making progress. Whatever you do, you're just not getting there. We figured what that thing out. Then we figured out 3, 4, 5 action steps that you took that got you the result that you were looking for. So we already have that confidence established now and built within you. Now the question is, now that we figured out a problem that we have right now that we're struggling with, what are 3 to 5 things that you will do now this year? We still got 3 months of the year. Maybe not get to the full goal, but at least make progress towards it. So Manoj, maybe for you, it wouldn't be clearing your debt, but getting close to that 5,000, because the 5,000 gets you to clearing your debt, right? Petra, maybe not get to the full into the 10K, but maybe get $1,000. Like that's progress, right? So it's like, what are 3 to 5 things that we will do this year, we'll focus on doing this year to get us close to our goal and to start making progress towards the problem that we're facing, that we're struggling with right now. Write it down and then share it in the chat. I want to share some of it. Shabam says, I'm trying something new. Okay, from my mistakes, consistently and hungrily. Okay, I'm going to work on my new page so I can be able to achieve that target. Love it. That's awesome. What else? Petra, be consistent with promoting on my IG page. ManyChat set up for new followers. Start email subscription for followers. Love it. That's awesome. What else? Prithvi says, reviving one of my dead YouTube channels so I can earn from that too. The ultimate goal is to quit my job ASAP. Okay. So the goal is quitting your job. That's the thing that you're struggling with. And the action step that you're going to take to get there is reviving one of your YouTube channels so that we can earn from it. That will get you to quit your job. I love that. All right, let's take one more share. Okay, Manoj. Accumulated capital from whatever I'm doing right now to start business of my own to build that consistent source of income. Be disciplined and consistent in the process of achieving the same. I love it, man. Shabam. Actually, I'm struggling with opening a Stripe account so that I can monetize my followers through newsletter, but it is very hard to open a Stripe. So I need help with it. It's the faster way to achieve my target. Okay, so the question is, Shabam, what are 2 to 3 action steps that you will take, and really shouldn't take the rest of the year, but maybe in the next 2 weeks or inside of October to make that happen, right? What are 2 to 3 action steps that you will take to make that happen? So the struggle is opening a Stripe account so that way you can monetize, so that way you can make money. Okay, the action steps that I'm going to take are 1, 2, 3. And we don't know if those action steps are going to get you there. They're just action steps that you will take towards that. And then usually 1 or 2 of those will open up the door for another 1 or 2 that will eventually get you to the goal.
Yeah, actually, in India, the Stripe hasn't allowed to open new accounts. That's why I'm struggling right now.
Sure. But you know what they say, man, where there's a will, there's a way. So the question for you is, what are potential action steps that you can take outside of the restrictions they can do there? Simple things that I can think about is partnering up with someone in a country where they allow it. Another one is maybe, IP address. Another one is, again, just random ideas that I'm getting out of my head here. But don't allow restrictions to hold you back. Think about what are action steps that I can take that can potentially get me there.
Actually, also finding the people who have Stripe account in different countries, but right now I haven't found anyone. That's why
But see, that could be one action step, is find at least 1 or 2 people in countries that can potentially partner with me or somehow make this happen, right? And then you add a timeline. Because what a timeline does is it produces urgency, creates urgency. And nothing produces better results or more results than urgency. Nothing creates more results than urgency. Cool? All right. Was that helpful? Drop a 1 in the chat if that was helpful. Drop a 1 in the chat if this exercise was helpful. Yes, go ahead.
Do you think urgency brings the anxiety as well?
It can. It depends on how you're using it, and it depends on what you're using it for. The right urgency creates action towards your goals. The wrong urgency can create anxiety and fear and paralyze you. Here's an example. Oh my God, I'm about to go homeless this weekend if I don't do anything about it. Now, for some people, this can put them in action to do something about it. For some people, this can paralyze them into sitting down and not doing anything and freaking out. Right? So that's also something that you have to work on within yourself. I know for me, urgency always works with me. Always. And although in the beginning, it may create anxiety, but believe it or not, it always results in massive amounts of action. Always. I do it until this day. I actually have a, where did I write it? I have, let me see if I can find it. So here's what I wrote. When I lack drive, create urgency by leveraging sky is falling scenarios. When I feel in a rut due to a lack of results, take action towards my goals. Let me say that one more time. When I lack drive, I don't have the drive. I feel like I'm, and I usually, the way that I know I'm lacking drive is I start waking up late. I start wasting time throughout the day, like just scrolling on social media too much, or not having my calendar fully blocked or fully like optimized. That's when I know I'm lacking drive. Something happened. Something happened that made me lax. Like for example, we had a great weekend 2 weekends ago. We had an event here in person. We closed a bunch of people. The next 2 days, I felt like I was kind of like lacking. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing right now? Dude, we collected 58,000. My goal is to grow the company to 150 million a year. What's happening right now? So immediately, boom. What I did was I created urgency by leveraging skies falling scenarios. Dude, you do realize this was only 1 weekend. If you don't do this consistently, you're never going to get to your goal of impacting 1 million lives and growing the company to be valued at 500 million by 2028. What are you doing sitting around? Are you crazy? Get back to work. Cool. Boom. Right? But then when I feel in a rut due to lack of results, example, we launched the Instagram division. Boom, everything's going great. You guys are recruiting. The freaking, it blew up. But then sales became a problem. Converting people became a problem. And I started seeing myself getting into a rut because of that. We were testing all these things or whatever. It's like, all right, okay, I'm feeling in a rut. I can see it. What are things that I can do right now to go, okay, first one, go hire a setter agency, grab 3 of these pages, place them in there. Tommy has one in there right now, a setter in there. Okay, that's 1. Okay, 2, why are they not converting? Well, they're driving a completely cold person that has no connection to a page trying to become a client. Like, that's not going to, trying to sell them a $5,000 offer. Like, that's not going to happen. Okay, we got to build a front-end offer that's cheaper, that people can afford, and then, boom, go build a funnel. Now we're building a funnel for that, right? So, again, take an action towards the goals. Does that make sense? Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys?